Flyers are not birds. Swimmers are not fish. A war does not depend on soldiers. Millions of miles of deadly smoke, on top a mushroom, and at bottom a fountain. A sight out of people's imagination. Big trouble not so, but greater trouble arrives. In an extreme situation, things turn around. A 3 feet tall kid made all foreigners bow down. When blue west and red east struggle, a son of God appears, a gentleman who brings peace and stops the killing. This unbelievable genius is from the middle of the two, westernized and thus ended all wars for good. Big trouble is over, and all foreigners gave in, becoming brothers. 6, 7 countries. Millions of miles without noise nor waves, become brothers, become friends and peaceful again. Only remaining danger lies in northwest. Thus, we still cannot sing a global song of peace. No castles, no walls, no mine, no yours. The entire world becomes one family, prosperity throughout the globe. One man for the entire world's joy follows God's will and prospers the world. Red, yellow, black, white, all together. North, east, south, west in total harmony. One negative and one positive. A never-ending cycle. Enders end themselves. Starters start themselves. The numbers of God will be studied at this stage. The natural course of human race shall be broken. Too many things to say here. Pushing the man's back, forcing him to rest is actually better. The Tui Bei Tu is a Chinese prophecy book from the 7th century AD Tang dynasty. The book is known for predicting the future of China and is supposed to contain clues to China's future conveyed through a series of 60 surreal drawings, each accompanied by an equally obscure poem. Each poem is a prophecy, which describes a Chinese historical event that will occur in order. For example, the 52nd poem should occur before the 53rd poem. Poem number 60 is the last prophecy. Some sources have said that out of the 60 prophecies, 55 of them are supposed to have already been fulfilled. The 56th poem or prophecy illustrates two soldiers each standing on two different continents that are facing each other and separated by an ocean. Since the Tui Bei Tu is all about the future of China, one of these continents must be the Asian continent where China is located at its eastern end. And the other continent facing Asia and China could be none other than the American continent located further east and which is separated from the Asian continent by the Pacific Ocean. The poem talks about flying objects that are not birds and swimming objects that are not fish. Now remember, This poem was written in the 7th century AD when airplanes and submarines were not yet invented. And this poem is clearly referencing these modern day technologies. Also, the following verses from the poem eerily describe a nuclear bomb explosion in great detail. Millions of miles of deadly smoke, on top a mushroom, and at bottom a fountain. This prophecy clearly predicts the coming nuclear war between China and the United States of America. Now, when do I expect this event to take place? The succeeding poem, or poem 57, gives us an important clue. This poem illustrates a kid quenching out with water the nuclear fire spewed by the two soldiers of the previous poem. The poem also describes the kid as a 3 feet tall son of God who brings peace and stops the killing. I believe that Tui Bei Tu is talking about the male child of Revelation 12, whom I identified and talked about in one of my previous videos titled September 18, 2020, Revelation 12 Sign and the Birth of the Other Paraclete like Christ. Revelation chapter 12, verses 1 to 5. A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its heads. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. And her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. This also means that the coming nuclear war between China and the USA will occur shortly after when I believe this male child will be born, which in my opinion is on September 18, 2020. The 57th poem also tells us that this genius kid is from the middle of the two continents. Now, what is located in the middle of the Asian and American continents is the Pacific Ocean. Therefore, this means that this kid will first appear and reside in one of the Pacific island nations located between these two warring continents. This Pacific island nation is also said to be westernized, and in the point of view of China, for which this prophecy was made, this means that the Pacific island nation was once colonized by a European nation located west of China. I believe this European nation to be Spain, a champion of Catholicism, and this makes the Pacific island nation unique in being the only Asian country in the Far East that is predominantly Christian. Note also that the term middle of the two does not necessarily mean this island nation is located geographically at the exact midpoint between China and the USA. Instead, It can also mean that this island nation is politically neutral or midway between both China and the USA. The implication is that the culture of this island nation must be heavily influenced by both China and the USA, and that this nation is a close ally and friend of both these two countries. There really is only one Pacific island nation that could fit all these descriptions, and that is the Philippines. Ethnic Chinese sailed around the Philippine Islands from the 9th century AD onward and frequently interacted with the local Filipinos. Many Chinese subsequently created settlements in Luzon and in the Visayas, some of which became the biggest and most powerful city-states in the Philippines. Binondo, a district in Manila, Philippines, is referred to as the city's Chinatown and is also known as the oldest Chinatown in the whole world. The colonization of the Philippines by the United States of America had two phases. The first phase was from 1898 to 1935, during which time Washington defined its colonial mission as one of tutelage and preparing the Philippines for eventual independence from Spanish Western colonization, which lasted more than 300 years. The second phase of United States colonization from 1936 to 1946 was characterized by the establishment of the Commonwealth of the Philippines, a legislation passed by the U.S. Congress in 1934 which provided for a 10-year period of transition to Philippine independence from the USA. Thus, the Philippines can be described as a westernized nation that remains an ally of both China and the USA. And this makes the Philippines an ideal nation to arbitrate peace between these two warring superpowers. Poem 57 mentions the struggle that will happen between the blue West and red East. I believe the mention of the colors blue and red is a reference to the Philippine flag, which, when hung vertically, have the blue side of the flag positioned at the left and the red side positioned at the right during times of peace. At times of war, the reverse is true. When superimposed on a map, the vertical flag of the Philippines during peacetime will have its blue side positioned at the west and its red side positioned at the east. Thus, the phrase Blue West actually refers to China, located west of the Philippines, while Red East actually refers to the United States of America, located east of the Philippines. This also means that the Philippines will not participate in the coming war between China and the USA. Instead, it will come as a peacemaker and arbitrator for the two countries by waving its flag of peace. Will the coming World War III be limited between the USA and China alone? Poem 58 tells us that there will be 6 to 7 countries involved, and these countries may be several Asian countries that are allied either to China, like North Korea, or the USA, like South Korea and Japan. Bible prophecy also tells us that Israel will be at war with the king of Assyria during the birth of the male child of Revelation 12. The prophet Isaiah named this child Immanuel, a name or title which this child will share with Christ. Isaiah chapter 7 verses 13 to 20. Then Isaiah said, "Hear now, you house of David. Is it not enough to try the patience of humans? Will you try the patience of my God also? Therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and will call him Immanuel. The Lord will bring on you and on your people, and on the house of your father, a time unlike any since Ephraim broke away from Judah. He will bring the king of Assyria. In that day, the Lord will whistle for flies from the Nile Delta in Egypt, and for bees from the land of Assyria. They will all come and settle in the steep ravines, and in the crevices in the rocks, on all the thorn bushes, and at all the water holes. In that day, the Lord will use a razor hired from beyond the Euphrates River, the king of Assyria, to shave your head and private parts, and to cut off your beard also. I believe this future king of Assyria, prophesied by Isaiah to make war with Israel and the rest of the Middle East, will be Russia and its allies, particularly Armenia and or possibly Georgia. Armenia is home to some of the last surviving Assyrian communities in the Caucasus, making up the country's third largest ethnic minority. According to the 2011 census, there are 2,769 Assyrians living in Armenia. On the other hand, Assyrians in Georgia number over 3,000, and most arrived in the southern Caucasus in early 20th century when their ancestors fled present-day Turkey and Iran during the Assyrian genocide. Thus, the Assyrians of Armenia and Georgia have a deeply rooted reason to make war with these Middle East countries with the help of Russia. Poem 58 mentions that the only remaining danger lies in the northwest. Thus, we, the world, still cannot sing a global song of peace. Since the Tui Bei Tu was written primarily about China's future, the Northwest must refer to a place northwest of China, as well as that of the Asian continent as a whole. If you look at the map of the Asian continent, this northwestern country can only be Turkey. In one of my previous videos titled, "The Tower of Babel was in Pergamum, where Satan has his throne," I discussed how Pergamum, or modern-day Pergama, Turkey, will be the future capital of both Satan and the Antichrist kingdom. It is no wonder then that the only place in the world where danger lies remaining will be in this northwestern Asian country. The 58th poem illustrates four men all holding official seals in their hands. I believe these men will be the four angels standing at the four corners of the earth mentioned in the book of Revelation. Revelation chapter 7 verse 1. After this I saw four angels standing at the four corners of the earth, holding back the four winds of the earth to prevent any wind from blowing on the land or on the sea or on any tree. These four angels will be accompanied by another angel coming up from the east and having God's seal. Revelation chapter 7 verses 2 to 4. Then I saw another angel coming up from the east, having the seal of the living God. He called out in a loud voice to the four angels who had been given power to harm the land and the sea. Do not harm the land or the sea or the trees until we put a seal on the foreheads of the servants of our God. Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel. I believe the angel coming up or climbing up, Greek anabino, from the east, having the seal of the living God, will be the newborn male child of Revelation 12. He is also the 3 feet tall Son of God mentioned in the 57th poem of the Tui Bei Tu. And as I discussed earlier, this kid will first appear and reside in the Philippines, which is located southeast of Israel. Looking at the map, one can see that coming from the Philippines, one is literally climbing up to the north as you come from the east, traveling west towards Israel. This angel from the east will be passing on the seal of the living God to the four angels standing at the four corners of the earth, one at a time, so that each of the four angels will have the chance to seal the servants of God living in his corner of the earth. And this is why the 58th poem of the Tui Bei Tu illustrates all four men holding official seals in their hands. I also believe the angel from the east will be the righteous man from the east, whom God will call from the islands located at the eastern end corner of the earth. And in the case of Israel, this corner of the earth will be the eastern end corner of the Asian continent where Israel belongs. Isaiah chapter 41 verses 2, 5, and 9. Who has stirred up one from the east, calling him in righteousness to his service. The islands have seen it and feared, the ends of the earth tremble. I took you from the ends of the earth. From its farthest corners I called you. I said, you are my servant. I have chosen you and have not rejected you. Poem 59 further confirms that the four men holding official seals on Poem 58 are the four angels standing at the four corners of the earth when it says north, east, south, west in total harmony, thus mentioning all four geographical directions or corners of the earth. At this point in the Tui Bei Tu prophecy, the remaining danger that lies in the northwest mentioned in Poem 58, that is, the kingdom of the wild beasts at Pergamum, Turkey, is already subjugated and desolated. And this results to global peace, harmony, and prosperity for everyone. Poem 59 illustrates a man pulling a straw out of a cup, a form of Chinese divination which indicates that this man will be doing things according to God's will by seeking to know how to choose good and reject evil with the help of this cup. I believe the cup which this man is holding is the same silver cup used by Joseph, son of Jacob, for divination. Genesis chapter 44 verses 1 to 5. Now Joseph gave these instructions to the steward of his house. Fill the men's sacks with as much food as they can carry, and put each man's silver in the mouth of his sack. Then put my cup, the silver one, in the mouth of the youngest one's sack, along with the silver for his grain. As morning dawned, the men were sent on their way with their donkeys. They had not gone far from the city when Joseph said to his steward, Go after those men at once, and when you catch up with them, say to them, why have you repaid good with evil? Isn't this the cup my master drinks from and also uses for divination? I believe this divining cup owned by Joseph was also the holy grail used by Christ to represent the new covenant. Matthew chapter 26, verses 27 to 29. Then he took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, drink from it, all of you. This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, I will not drink from this fruit of the vine from now on until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. The reappearance of the Holy Grail at the hands of this godly man in poem 59 means that the Father's kingdom has already come to earth, and that God's will is being done here as it is in heaven. And this is due in part to the godly man who enforces God's will on earth. Who is this man holding the Holy Grail and seeking to do God's will? I believe this man represents the male child of Revelation 12 who has grown up in knowledge and spirituality quite speedily within a few years' time. Isaiah foretold that by the time this happens to the child, Israel's enemies will already be laid to waste. Isaiah chapter 7 verses 13 to 16. Then Isaiah said, hear now, you house of David. Is it not enough to try the patience of humans? Will you try the patience of my God also? Therefore the Lord himself will give you a son. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and will call him Immanuel. He will be eating curds and honey when he knows enough to reject the wrong and choose the right. For before the boy knows enough to reject the wrong and choose the right, the land of the two kings you dread will be laid waste. Poem 60, the last and final prophecy of the Tui Bei Tu, illustrates a man pushing another man's back, forcing the man being pushed to rest in his hands. I believe the man pushing the back of another man is the fully grown male child of Revelation 12. And the man he is pushing at the back represents all those who died in the Lord, which the male child is pushing or raising up to life in order to give them rest. This reminds me of the following biblical verse. Revelation chapter 14 verse 13. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, write, blessed are the dead which die in the Lord. From henceforth, yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. This scripture is saying that all those who died in the Lord will, from henceforth, be rewarded for the good works they have done during their lifetime. This of course implies resurrection from the dead. This rest will be God's future Sabbath rest according to Apostle Paul. Hebrews chapter 4 verses 9 to 10. So then, there remains a Sabbath rest for the people of God. For whoever enters God's rest also ceases from his labors as God did from his. Poem 60 talks about a never-ending cycle where enders end themselves and starters start themselves. This reminds me of the new heaven and the new earth that will be seen after the first heaven and the first earth have passed away, mentioned in Revelation chapter 21 verse 1. During this stage, the Tui Bei Tu prophesies that the numbers of God will be studied. These numbers, I believe, will be the new universal constants which God will embed in the physical laws governing the new universe to come. New physical constants for the speed of light, the gravitational constant, the elementary charge, and so on and so forth, mean that we will be experiencing this new universe differently from the way we experience this current universe now. Poem 60 also mentions that the natural course of human race shall be broken. This natural course is that of birth, suffering, and death. And according to the Bible, this vicious cycle will end in the new heaven and the new earth.